Hello, everybody, and welcome to Turn 1. I'm Sean Fitz. Welcome to Texas for the Downforce Racing Series. 4 races remaining, including tonight, and this one is going to be really sporty. Vinny Masteus is going to start on the outside row 1. He's our point leader. The driver that has an opportunity to contest those point situations late in the season is Ryan Patty, and he's going to start on the pole. Caden Henry Oaks, John Zerke, Mike Whitaker, your top 5. As we get ready to go green flag here at Texas Under the Lights for the Downforce Racing Series. Again, I'm Sean Fitz. Appreciate you being here. Happy Tuesday evening. It was a wild one last night at Atlanta for Sim 500 Monday night Cooks Landscape Group Cup Series. And Texas has an opportunity to push just as an exciting of a race. We're going to see how it all shakes out as the pace truck ducks down pit road. Patty Masteus on the front row, get ready to take this 12-car field green all the way down to the restart zone, and the green flag is out. We're rolling here on track at Texas. Patty's going to take it low, run right down the bottom of the racetrack while Masteus just behind him, under a little bit of pressure by John Zerke on the bottom here, but that'll shake out down the backstretch. Masteus going to secure P2. Here comes Caden Henry Oaks, the 51 bright blue car, the Dude Wipes machine, looking to shut the door on that third place. That's John Zerke sliding back to fourth, and just like that, we are one lap into tonight's Downforce Racing Series Texas extravaganza on these Cup cars. We've seen over the last couple weeks how complex these Cup machines can be at times, and well, right now, everybody mostly single filed out. It's going to be a night of maintaining what you've got on track and trying to keep the car underneath you long term, and just ensuring that you're doing everything you can to capitalize on the runs. Tire wear will be a factor here, but just like we've seen at tracks like Homestead, and we've even seen it at Atlanta in a lot of instances, the aero on these cars is going to be a big factor in tonight's outcome of the race. Right now, Ryan Patty leading the laps after starting out on the pole. Masteus, so that is Caden Henry Oaks, John Zerke, Mike Whitaker, your top 5. Jerry Bergeron, Thomas Taylor, Tyler White, hand over fist. Ron Dale, John Anderson, and Rick Ellison. Rick, it doesn't look like he started the race. So the last car on track right now, John Anderson. As we see, who is that? That is Gary Bergeron. Jerry has put on a really decent run here the last couple weeks. Had some strong finish or strong pace across multiple laps and multiple tracks. Just not really putting together all the right pieces, but really, it has been the Vinny Masteus show, and I say that. He starts to look to the outside of Patty as they roll off into one. Masteus has won, I believe, the last 6 of 7 races, and I tell you what, that is nothing to blink at. He has got a tight hold on the championship points, some 20-something points out front, and really, it's going to be his championship to lose as they come down the stripe here. We'll talk about the schedule and what that looks like once we get an opportunity to step aside for a caution. We will take a look at the schedule and talk about some of the challenges that the rest of this field's going to have as they ride off through the remainder of the season. Ryan Patty continues to lead. John Zerke has fallen all the way back to 5th. Jerry Bergeron is starting to slide forward just a little bit. His lap times are pretty impressive. A 29-23, fastest in the entire top 5 right here. A little bit of a smaller field tonight, so that's going to allow these drivers to really keep it clean. And I suspect some of these folks know that tire wear is going to be a factor here, and they've got to make do. Not a whole lot of caution opportunities to come down pit road, so on top of the fuel, on top of everything else, you need to keep the car clean. You need to keep it all smoothed out, hoping that you can keep the tires underneath you, not push them too hard, and maintain that track position. Pretty big disparity here in driving. We see who is that? That is Thomas Taylor and then Tyler White. Then a pretty decent gap back here to John Anderson and Ron Dale, who are side by side down the backstretch. Oh, it looks like Dale may have made contact with the wall there, but able to capitalize. I'm sorry, that's Dale We saw a puff of smoke come out the right side. Base may have made slight contact with the wall. But either way, out front, we saw Vinny Masteus putting pressure on the leader, but now here comes Caden Henry Oaks. The 51 car is going to take that second spot away, and now Oaks is going to move into P2. Masteus settling into third here for the moment. We've seen this out of that 70 car fairly often. Maybe not a fire-off great start. He did not start on the pole either, so that put him in some dirty air to begin with. But Vinny Masteus, proven racer, I would say, at this point with the Downforce Racing Series, and right now falling back to third here in the early going on lap number 10. Let's take the opportunity while we've got it. Let's ride on board with the 51. That is Caden Henry Oaks. Let's check out how it looks from the inside of these machines as they work their way around Texas here tonight under the lights. So we were talking about they're running on board with these drivers. You hear them shifting back and forth in and out of the corners, making it pretty an interesting factor in tonight's race that may become a point here, and also an opportunity to save a little bit of fuel. Speaking of saving, Vinny Masteus, right before we went running on board, we were talking about him being laid back quite a bit. Masteus right now sitting now in P2, was able to work around the 51 of Caden Henry Oaks, and you know, we knew that 70 car may be laying awake, winning the last 6 of 7, and certainly being a huge contender in terms of points here tonight, in the lead and looking to continue to capitalize on some speed. And he's starting to run down Ryan Patty. That gap that was up to near 0.8 of a second has now fallen down to 0.5 and closing here on lap 29 of 140. For the Downforce Racing Series live right here on Turn 1, I'm Sean Fitz. Thanks so much for being here. If you're tuned in, if you haven't already done so, please like the stream or give it a thumbs up. Do what you need to do to support us. We'd love to talk with you. Say hi in the chat. We're on Facebook, Twitch, and YouTube here tonight. Where are you watching? Both what platform and where are you from? We'd love to hear from you here tonight as these drivers continue to turn laps here at Texas under the lights. Patty leading them all so far. He started on the pole, pretty strong start to the evening. His lap times running fairly consistent. Again, we talked about right there before we went riding on board. Patty has been running 29. He started out with a 29.35 as his fastest lap of the night. And then those tires kind of fell off a cliff a little bit after the first 20 laps into the 29.80s, 29.70s. And now they're kind of maintaining. We're seeing Patty run 29.78s, 29.81s, very consistent and holding after that about 0.5 of a second fall off as they come around through the corner and down the front stretch to take lap number 32. Taking a look back again here through the field, John Zerke sitting fourth at the moment, continuing to chew his way through positions here. And now looking at the back bumper of the 51 car, Mike Whitaker, Tyler White, John Anderson, and her fist, your top 8. And then it's Thomas Taylor, Ron Dell, and George Bergeron. Looks like he is retired. So it doesn't look like he is going to finish tonight's race. So that now leaves only 10 cars on track here this evening. Also looks like Ron Dale may have called it quits. So that is unfortunate here. That is going to tighten up this field pretty hard. Saw a couple drivers come down pit road, and really that was more to maybe call it a rest this evening. As we see Vinny Masteus continue to run down Ryan Patty here. We're going to step aside for just a moment. We'll continue live here on track, but going to mute the commentary. We'll come back here. Around lap 45 or so. You're watching Turn 1. Back live here on turn 1, lap number 48. Ryan Patty out front. Vinny Masteas currently running P2. Caden Henry Oaks back about 5 seconds off the pace. And third, John Zerke, Tyler White, Mike Whitaker, John Anderson, Hanover Fist, and Thomas Taylor. Your top 9 and the only drivers out on track at this point. Taking a look here, just a quick shot. Actually, looks like there it is. Rondale's back out there. I'm not sure what may have happened to him. Jerry Bergeron is not. He wasn't there the last time I noticed. So that's 10 total cars here running onto the lights at Texas. Let's take a look at some lap times as we expect to see some pit stops start to come up here in the next 10 to 15 laps. Those lap times have really started to slide now. Remember those 29:30s of Ryan Patty, our leader, early in this tire run? Well, guess what? That is now come down to post 30 seconds or beyond 30-second mark now. So that tire fall off is reaching that 0.8 of a second mark. Vinny Masteas is not far behind him. Last time by at 29.94. Everybody else in the field are running 30-plus second lap times. Masteas keeping the pace up. We saw that 70 car really manage his tires through the mid-run there. Even fell back all the way to 4th, didn't push the right fronts very hard. And Masteas actually taking a little bit more of an advantage here, maybe finding a little bit more comfort in the car. Even though I do believe when we were riding on board the 70 just a little while ago, we heard him make maybe some slight contact with that right rear on the outside of the turn 4 wall. Either way, continuing here and no issues and just maintaining pace here, running within 1 second 1 second gap of Ryan Patty here under the lights at Texas. Again, we were talking about pit stops potentially coming here in the next 10 or 15 laps or so. It's been a green flag run since the start of this race. Patty leading all of them. And we would expect to see these drivers have to come down here around lap 60, 65. If anybody has the opportunity to split the race, and if anybody has the fuel to get to 70, then obviously they could take it all the way through. And I only have to stop one time here tonight. But that's a big if. You've got to have enough fuel here to go for another 17 or so laps here at Texas. And a lot of variables at play. The field's pretty spread out. So if you're close to the number, you can certainly do some things to save a little bit of fuel in these cars. Maybe not downshifting as much and keeping the RPMs a little lower down through the corner. It's going to slow you down a little bit, but that's certainly an opportunity. And obviously lifting earlier as well into the corner and letting it kind of coast in. That'll save you a little bit. It's not unheard of for drivers to be able to save, a lap, 2 laps, even 3 on some instances here, especially on these longer green flag runs. But we'll see how this all shakes out, as right now Ryan Patty continues to lead. That is Vinny Masteas, Caden Henry Oaks, John Zerke, and Tyler White. Patty continuing to run that very bottom line. He's really in that 30 car, the driver to, he's showed a lot of pace here. Obviously started on the pole now, about 1.3 seconds out front of Vinny Masteas. Both of them kind of been running right there at the very bottom of the racetrack. We haven't seen anybody try much of anything different. I think the 51 of Henry Oaks were, as I was going to say, kind of hunting for a little bit more speed. You see him and Sean Zerke actually running about a lane and a half higher, especially through 1 and 2. We'll take a look down here on the turn 3, turn 4 end. And they're about the same there, with Zerke actually sitting it way up high. He's looking for a little bit more quarter off speed by entering the car higher and not having to slow it down so much, but obviously taking the long way around here at Texas. Coming across the stripe here, that's lap 57 of 140. We're going to step aside one more time, and we'll come back with you live when pit stops kick off here, or the halfway mark, whichever comes first. You're watching Turn 1. Caution out on the racetrack, and I don't believe this is for any incident. This may be the end of the stage. Either way, lap number 61, caution falls here for the first time at Texas with Ryan Patty leading. That is going to bring the field back tighter here once again, and I imagine we'll see everybody come down pit road. No reason you can't. Obviously, from a tire standpoint, you have to come down. This will give everybody a chance to re-rack it, maybe take some lessons learned to go back green flag racing here with some new tires on those Cup cars. Behind the pace truck they go, and we're going to see them all duck down pit road for full fuel and service. We'll step aside and talk about the race off pit road when we return. You're watching Turn 1. Since the start of the race, this is the first time these drivers are going to be back within a pretty tight confines here on the racetrack side by side as they get ready to go green flag racing. It's Ryan Patty on the inside, row one. He's going to start back and be in the control car. He started on the poles, led all the laps, looking to lead some more. And then it's Vinny Masteas outside row one. Caden Henry Oaks inside row two. Outside is John Zerke. And then it's Mike Whitaker, Tyler White, John Anderson, Hanover Fist, and Thomas Taylor continuing to run here tonight at Texas. Under the lights so far, relatively quiet across the track, but this is certainly going to heat some things up here at Texas. We're back green flag racing for the Downforce Racing Series. Patty out front, free and clear. Caden Henry Oaks is going to pressure Vinny Masteas on the bottom here. We saw Masteas run down Henry Oaks and put him about a 5-second deficit during that long green flag run, but Masteas now is going to fire off a little harder here and get around the 51. If we've seen any lessons, Masteas has got to really keep close tabs on that 30 car. He needs to be able to run down Ryan Patty here early. I believe what we saw there is the 70 get into a position where he was really tight on tires after having to and really ultimately let Ryan Patty get too far out in front of him. Meanwhile, we're green flag, but we had an incident on track. Let's take a quick look. This is Rondell. This is after the green flag wave. Let's find out what may have happened to Ron here. Oh, he may have had some help, but either way, he's backwards down the front stretch and in the grass. It's not going to bring the caution out as the field's going to continue to roll here. And Dale's going to take that car to pit road for some service. Patty's going to maintain his lead out front, 1.1 over Vinny Masteas. And again, we've seen Vinny here. No point in really pushing the issue. Got a ton of victories under his belt. He's a points leader tonight. And really, with the exception to Ryan, Patty potentially bringing home, win the stage and bringing home these final points, I don't suspect we will see Patty really put together much of a dent in terms of points for Masteas, but that's yet to be determined. We take a look back here. That's Caden Henry Oaks. And they're getting a little racy back here. That's John Zerke, Tyler White involved, Mike Whitaker, John Anderson. They're all battling out here. This is all for real position on track as White tries to shut the door. Whitaker looking on the inside as they roll out of, or roll down the start-finish line. Then it's John Anderson. He's diving down deep underneath Mike Whitaker. Whitaker in that really cool-looking paint scheme here. He's been running that the last couple weeks. I'm a fan. See if we can get a better look at that car here. Rolling rock. I like the pattern on the outside of that car. Either way, Mike Whitaker right now battling John Zerke for that spot. I'm sorry, that's John Anderson. That's John Zerke there as well. All right there in the mix. Meanwhile, Caden Henry Oaks, he is not fired off as fast, and he's got some pressure behind him, sitting in third. Vinny Masteas, though, is not chewed into the lead at all of Ryan Patty, and this is what I was talking about, the 70 car just settling in. No big pressure to try to get up front, but tire wear will ultimately become the great equalizer and what all that shakes out to be. As we're officially at the halfway point of tonight's Downforce Racing Series Tuesday night coverage right here on Turn 1. It's Texas as the season continues to wind down, and the action on track is just as exciting in certain aspects, so we're glad you're with us. Thanks so much for being here. I'm Sean Fitz, and I can't wait to call the rest of this race here this evening. Again, a little bit of a battle back here. That's behind Caden Henry Oaks. Here comes Tyler White to the bumper in one. John Zerke really driving hard. Oh! Caden Henry Oaks gets sideways on corner exit. Saves it, then noses it into the wall. No caution yet. Sitting across the track, I assume waiting, assuming a caution will come out, but certainly not going to. It doesn't look like there, at least not yet. And that was all. I believe him and Mike Whitaker may have made a little bit of contact. John Zerke's going to take advantage and move up to that third spot. Let's take a look and find out what may have happened to Caden Henry Oaks as we were looking right there out of two. Off into the corner they go. Tyler White underneath him. Tyler just gets a great run right to the bumper. Oh, Caden just gets loose all by himself there in the 51. And then White just has nowhere to go, and everybody's got to take evasive maneuvers. That was 100% Caden Henry Oaks trying to get back on the throttle, had that right rear spun up, and unfortunately went around on the exit of turn number 2 here tonight at Texas. We're going to stay green, though. Oaks is going to fall all the way back to 8th right now, and some decent pace off. Tyler White is probably dealing with a little bit of nose damage there now, I would suspect. We saw him make contact with him. He's certainly sitting 6th. John Anderson's moved into the top 5. Mike Whitaker, John Zerke, Vinny Masteas. And you see there Ryan Patty actually closing in on the 51 of Caden Henry Oaks. Oaks doesn't look like he's got a ton of damage on that 51 car, but what he may have is now some tire issues, especially after going sideways across the track. They're probably scrubbing a flat spot at him and certainly heating him up. And now Ryan Patty's on the hunt to try to put Caden Henry Oaks a lap down. A driver that's excited to see this opportunity is Vinny Masteas. Remember, Caden Henry Oaks and Vinny Masteas is right there in points. Macias leading, but Caden sitting within 2 spots at about 50 points. This may solidify the season championship for Vinny if he's able to bring home a decent finish here. And then he's only got to worry about Ryan Patty, who right now is sitting 2.8 seconds out front on the point. Patty taking it right down to the bottom, working on running down Caden Henry Oaks. Again, that driver, not the night he wanted to see, getting spun here or spinning himself out just a few laps ago. Entering a little higher through the quarter, maybe trying to find a little bit more confidence in 1 and 2, but Ryan Patty continuing to run him down, and now that gap is within, he's within striking distance now. Patty within 5 car lengths of the 51, and it's going to start to close even more here, as Patty's going to try to fight his way to maintain the lead lap as they come across the stripe. That is lap number 78 of 140 here. So just 62 remain. And Oaks would love to see a caution come out, be able to come down pit road, get whatever damage is done to that car straightened up, and potentially some new tires. But ultimately, that does not look like that's going to come to fruition in enough time as the 30 car continues to dig here. Holding about 5 car lengths as they roll through 3 and 4. And this is where Ryan Patty has shown a lot of pace. He turns in a little early. Oaks turns in later. That closes the gap quite a bit. This draft here down the backstretch is going to be a big factor for Ryan Patty. Getting bigger in the mirror of that 51. Close that gap now down to a car length. Patty is certainly getting through turn 1 and 2 much better than Caden Henry Oaks. You've seen that kind of on corner entry that time. Patty not making a ton of time, a ton of gains, but he also has a pretty strong lead to here to maintain 2.5 seconds back to Vinny Macias. So no rush, no pressure here. If anything, Patty wants to use this opportunity to draft behind Oaks and gain a little bit of fuel strategy here, as he's going to look to the inside into 1. Not going to quite be there. Oaks is going to move down, maybe tighten up Patty just a little bit. That is a factor. We've seen aero become a big part of these Cup Series cars here the last couple months. How much is that going to be affecting our leader, who at one point just 5, 6, 7 laps ago had a 3-second lead over Vinny Macias? That lead's now chiseled down to 2.3. And Ryan Patty maybe suffering a little bit from aerodynamics here behind the 51 of Caden Henry Oaks. They come down the backstretch, and we've noticed this trend here. Patty gets within about a car length or so, and the 30 machine seems to just stall out. It seems to struggle with gaining, sucking up to the back of the 51 here in Texas. And again, we've talked about how sensitive these cars are to aero, and especially through corner and maintaining that quarter grip. Now Ryan Patty feeling that dirty air on the nose for the first time tonight, as he's led all the laps up to this point on the pole. Not had to deal with a whole lot of traffic, but now the 51 of Oaks is actually starting to pull away just a little bit. Ryan Patty still a 2.3 second lead over Vinny Macias, but that certainly looks like Patty may be in a little bit of a pickle here as he tries to work around the 51. We're going to step aside from a commentary standpoint, but we'll still be here and showing you all sorts of different angles across the racetrack at Texas. You're watching Turn 1. 33 laps remaining tonight in the Downforce Racing Series live coverage here at Texas. And we've had a cycle of pit stops. Several drivers coming down pit road electing to take service. And John Anderson's going to slow to the pit road speeds and come down pit road. He is going to pit from third. Tyler White, John Zerke, hand over fist, all been down pit road. Ryan Patty has also been down pit road. These are the final stops of the night for some of these drivers. And from a tire and fuel perspective now, I guess it all boils down to Masteus in the 70 car. He is elected to stay out at this point. And he's going to come back around here with 31 to go. And did he save enough, right? We saw the first stretch of green flag runs go 61 laps. What can Vinny Masteus do, right? They went green flag racing about lap number 65. And he has, so that obviously he's got enough. Does he have enough in the tank to be able to save basically what amounts to 5 laps of fuel, or 6 laps of fuel here across this long green flag run. Right now, he's in a comfortable lead. He's got a 10-second gap over Mike Whitaker. Mike's sitting P2 at the moment. He is yet to come down pit road, and who knows if he actually elects to or not. Masteus, oh, there it is. Masteus is going to hit pit road. That is going to clear that up for us. He did not have enough in the tank, and he's going to come down pit road. He needs to have a really solid stop here, and we'll take a look. Ryan Patty is going to cycle out our leader as he passes the exit of pit road here. This long Texas pit road puts some of these cars right there at the edge of a lap down regardless, so we'll have to pay close attention. Where does Masteus pop out as Patty comes out of 3 and 4? Masteus is not even rolling out of the box yet, so this is certainly going to be at a disadvantage of the 70 car. There it is. He's going to get rolling. You see Ryan Patty in the background. Patty's going to pass him here as he comes through 1 and 2. And Masteus is going to be really slow off track. Still got to get up to speed on the exit there. And Masteus is going to probably fall within 2.5 seconds of the leader. Ryan Patty, once this all cycles out, Mike Whitaker currently scored your leader at the moment here on lap 112, but that's going to come to a close as he's going to lead a lap or two and then come down pit road himself, and that'll finish the sequence of cars coming down. Ryan Patty back out front, and Vinny Masteus right now showed that gap. It looked like he was within 2 seconds, but now Masteus, he's closed all the way down to 6/10. All of a sudden, the 70 car finding some pace here. We saw him, like I mentioned, come off pit road. It was going to be a pretty decent deficit. It was over 1.5 seconds on the backstretch, but now, all of a sudden, here comes Masteus running down Ryan Patty in that first place spot. Keep in mind, Masteus does have fresher tires. He set a blistering lap last time by a 29.01. Fastest lap of the night. It's certainly showing now. All of a sudden, we're seeing the 70 car come alive here with closing in on just 25 laps to go. Masteus now right to the bumper of Ryan Patty. Oh, he's going to get into the left rear of Patty. That is not going to feel good. Patty's going to get slowed to a stop down the backstretch, and he's going to bring out the caution. Vinny Masteus is going to get into the inside bumper, the inside fender there of Ryan Patty, and that's going to bring the caution out here for the second time at Texas. And this will be interesting to see if everybody comes down pit road or not for another set of tires or what happens there. Patty was able to get the car back rolling and fell back to third. We're going to recap the pit coverage here, repack the pit stops, and we'll talk about what could be next in line here as we go back green flag racing with about 23 to go. You're watching Turn 1. pace truck getting ready to head down pit road here in just a little bit. Big surprise here. Mike Whitaker, last down pit road lap 112, basically is going to be the victor of this strategy. Keep in mind, he came down pit road last car, did not have to come down here under caution because he had only been down pit road 3 laps before. So he is going to start in the lead here. It's going to be the control car on the inside. Then it's Mustaeus, Ryan Patty. Then it's the 69 car there. That's a head over fist. He's in 4th for the first time in the top 5. Tyler White said it's going to restart 5th. This is going to shake some stuff up here as they will come across the stripe to take 23 to go. Mike Whitaker on the inside into the restart zone, and the green flag back out. 23 to go here at Texas. Whitaker's going to move down and enter low. Ryan Patty, that's going to open the door for Patty to move into the inside. Patty just gets into Mustaeus. I can't help but feel that's a little bit of payback there. Very similar situation with Ryan Patty, and now Mustaeus, that last short of a caution, that is going to end his night. He's going to fall all the way back to 9th. I don't know if I agree with that move. Either way, still green flag here. Whitaker now to the inside. Patty looking to the outside, trying to take that spot away.
Pit
Whitaker side by side, Tyler White. Then it's hand over fist, and Caden Henry Oaks, he's back in the mix of this here. He's played the cautions just right, worked it out. He's still sitting here in the top 5. Side by side for second again. That's Whitaker, Tyler White battling it out here. Who's going to take home that top spot? Whitaker on the high line really drove it in hard out there, trying to hold these guys off. But here comes Tyler White. He's going to get clear down the backstretch. Well, I thought he was anyway. Not going to now. Caden Henry Oaks there, right in the rear view, waiting for one of these two to make a mistake so he can pounce. He's going to settle into 4th here and run down the 707. Out front, Ryan Patty is back in the lead and maintaining control here, 0.4 of a second over Tyler White. White not quite been able to break away from this group as we've got 19 to go here. Side by side. Oh, Oaks gets a little loose. We saw him actually lose that in a very similar spot out of turn 2. And now he's going to slide back. John Zerke's looking for an opportunity to squeeze by and take that top 5 spot away. Let's ride on board with Tyler White as he continues to try to run down Ryan Patty in the closing laps here at Texas. We saw Masteus really make unfortunately have that incident tangle up with Ryan Patty at the restart. He's starting to race his way back forward, now looking underneath John Zerke for that top 6 position. Masteus trying to recover here in the final laps, 11 to go here at Texas for the Downforce Racing Series. Ryan Patty leads, and then it's Tyler White. Mike Whitaker continue to battle it out. I will say I'm kind of impressed with Winter here. He's been able to hang on just well, I'm sorry, not Winter, White rather, Tyler White. Tyler, I apologize, I may have been saying that wrong all night. Either way, Tyler White right now sitting only 8/10 back off Ryan Patty, able to hang on there quite a bit. Even though Patty has been really the star of the show here, leading obviously the most laps tonight. Started on the pole and looking like he's going to bring home the checker flag short of any other events happening, which it still can with 10 to go. Tyler White sitting second, Mike Whitaker third. Caden Henry Oaks, again, another driver who had a little bit of a misstep on the exit of turn 2, got that car sideways, fell all the way back, and then could not get a caution. Ultimately went a lap down, has worked his way back to the lead lap, sitting in 4th. That'll be a decent points recovery for him. And then Masteus, as I talked about, him and Ryan Patty making contact with one another. Once with Masteus getting in the back of Patty, and it genuinely looked like it could have been just purely accidental, maybe a misjudgment of where to put the car, but ultimately Patty, either by retribution or just by sheer luck, got in a very similar fashion to the back of Masteus as he's looking around and underneath Caden Henry Oaks here. I would say if we see another caution before this is all said and done, we'll see something to brew, I imagine, with the 30 and the 70 cars. Masteus has recovered nicely, but he's going to run out of laps in time here. He's got about a 1.4 second gap out to the lead, and he's not showing those lap times really closing in on Ryan Patty. If anything, Patty continuing to run just a tick faster than the 70 car. Mike Whitaker was able to get around Tyler White there while we were talking about that. 7 to go. And Whitaker, again, this is an impressive night for him. Was able to play the cautions just right. Saw the caution come out 3 laps after he had been down pit road. So that negated the need for him to come down there to caution. He inherited the lead. Ultimately, Patty able to get by him, but this is going to end up to be a solid night for Mike Whitaker here if he can hang on to this P2 spot. Four to go here. Patty continues to lead. Mike Whitaker, Vinny Masteus now worked his way up to 3rd. Still not closing in on Ryan Patty, but certainly making big gains here. As Patty now has got his foot to the throttle. I see him over on YouTube. We see a lot of comments about that being a little bit of a cheap shot. I would agree. I don't know if that was necessary in the grand scheme of things. Patty has done a really good job leading all night tonight. If he could have, Vinny, obviously I don't think intended to get around him that way or get into him that way, but either way, they could have raced it out pretty hard here for the lead. Instead, it's, Patty out front here with 3 to go. He's got a 1.6 second lead. And ultimately, it's just something these drivers will have to work on. This championship's going to be tight all the way down the stretch here. And I suspect the 70 will have not have a short memory over the next couple weeks. 2 to go as Masteus finally gets his way around Mike Whitaker. It looks like John Anderson, Caden Henry Oaks are going to battle side by side. Oaks has actually fallen back to 7th. Battling for that 7th spot right there with Tyler White on the nose. Go back up front. That's Ryan Patty again, right down to the bottom of the racetrack. looking to try to bring home the checkered flag, but he's going to see the one to go. White flag out for the DRS crew at Texas, and it is all cruise control at this rate. Down into 1 and 2, Masteus maintaining that 1.4 second gap on back, and then it's Whitaker, Zerke, and Caden Henry Oaks. Oaks is trying to recover to get back to that 5th place spot, claim another top 5 before it's all said and done. But it is going to be Ryan Patty. Brought the pole home, and then he's going to bring home the checkered flag along with it. Ryan Patty wins at Texas for the Downforce Racing Series. Vinny Masteus is going to bring home P2. Mike Whitaker, John Zerke, Caden Henry Oaks, Tyler White going to bring home 6th. John Anderson, Thomas Taylor, Hanover 5th. As we see Caden go for a little bit of a ride there. And then Ron Dale, I think we saw him also put a comment in the chat tonight. Maybe not his best evening as well. Ryan Patty's going to burn it down here on the front stretch, and we are unfortunately going to have to call it right there. We will catch up with post-race for next week for the Downforce Racing Series. Taking a quick look at the schedule for you, though. We are down the stripe, or down the pipe at this point. Dover next week, and then Kansas, the final, the season finale at Phoenix in just 3 short weeks away. On behalf of the league admins for the Downforce Racing Series, I'm Sean Fitz. We appreciate you being here. We'll see you next Tuesday night for more DRS racing action, or you can tune in on Sunday to pick up the Sunday Night Surge Series in Sim 500. Have a great night, everybody. Happy Tuesday.